SACY, he's like a world-class Sova, and we had him playing smokes on some maps.
Because the rumor with SACY is that he was very critical on Loud. Like, he was like a super critical, very intense player to play with. What is that like for you?
Leaker divulgou que Loud e Leviathan estão interessadas em ter um elenco de Valorant Mobile, e ambos os donos dos times já se pronunciaram sobre o assunto. Já pensou em ter acesso a diversos cursos feitos por pessoas que manjam do jogo? A Neverest tem cursos produzidos por grandes personalidades do cenário especialmente para você, além de aulas específicas para cada agente, para você aprender tudo sobre o seu main em todos os mapas, tanto no ataque quanto na defesa. E ainda tem uma ferramenta que mostra pixels do seu agente favorito em todos os mapas, de maneira bastante simplificada. E você também tem direito a uma análise de POV mensal feita por um coach profissional para ver se você aprendeu tudo certinho. Tudo isso e muito mais você encontra na Neverest. Usando o cupom SMOKEMID15 você tem 15% de desconto, o link vai estar aqui na descrição. Fala galera, tudo bem com vocês? Recentemente o TENZ deu uma entrevista para o canal do Shangares, que é ex-coach e atualmente analista de Valorant. E nessa entrevista ele falou bastante sobre o que ele acha que deu de errado para Sentinels nesse ano, sobre jogar com o SACY e o Pancada e a fama do SACY de ser bastante crítico. Também falou sobre o novo jogador e IGL do time, o JOGAR, e separamos alguns trechos aqui pra gente conferir. Então já deixa aquele like nesse vídeo, confere se tá inscrito aqui no canal e vamos lá ver os trechos.
What do you think went so wrong for pretty much like all of Sentinels, right? Because from lock-in, I mean, to be fair, you played Fnatic, but like going into like the first week, you guys ended up beating 100 Thieves, and then from then on, it was kind of downhill. If I'm being honest, like, what do you think happened to like the team morale and just like the expectations versus reality?
It was definitely like yeah, if you looked on paper and looked at our roster, like we have like 3 people that have like won a tournament, and especially like the Loud duo that is just fresh off the champions win. So when you're obviously like looking at the roster, it's like, damn, like they have everything they need. I do think that we had we do have like really good pieces, but I don't think it was put into motion correctly. And going into the season, I think our like kind of identity as a team was kind of fucked up, and we were trying to figure that out throughout like the entire season also. Like there was times when like Zach was playing Killjoy, but like probably shouldn't just put like an explosive player like Zekin on a Killjoy. He probably won't feel like too inspired. Or SACY, he's like a world-class Sova, and we had him playing smokes on some maps. So I think it was just it was a wrong approach that we were taking with certain like character or player identities or roles, and I think we were trying to conform to the meta too much when we definitely have like skill-wise, our players are top tier.
It's actually so crazy you mentioned that, because that first series of VCT that you guys played against 100 Thieves, I was like greening out. When I watched your guys' Fracture and you were playing double duelist, I was like, holy shit, this team is so for real. Like, they're going to figure it all out. And I felt like that identity was never really found throughout like the whole season. And part of it you could blame is just like the moving chairs, kind of like, you know, Def going out, Don going out, your guys' coach, and then Marv's coming in, and then you going out, and it's just like constantly moving stuff.
Yeah.
Do you think if the original roster, like with Def, actually like made it through, you guys would have like qualified for playoffs? Or do you think it was just never going to work out with that roster?
I think it was kind of rough because like Def, he was playing the initiator role, and I think the initiator role, especially like the flash one that I have picked up recently, I think it's definitely more like a second entry, like someone who's also like aggressive, and he was a lot more like a passive player. And so what ended up happening was, for spacing, like either me or Zekin, depending on who was playing at the time, it would feel like there was a kind of like a disconnect between us entering and like the rest of the team. And I think it's a lot better, like if you look at Forsaken on like Paper X, for example, like he'll play like Harbor, he'll play like stuff like that, and he'll be like running in and like scaling. He's not really like a passive player. He's like a body that'll run in and create space with the other teammates going in. So I think something like that for like your flex player, flash player, stuff like that, I think is really important. And it was just something that we weren't doing.
what is it like playing with them? Are they like because the rumor with SACY is that he was very critical on Loud. Like he was like a super critical, very intense player to play with. What is that like for you?
So personally for me, like, if you look at SACY, he's a very like motivated individual and he's like really passionate. And I think it's important. I think me as a player, I feel more inclined to like even put more effort and or like energy when I see other people around me doing it. Like I think I feed off the energy a lot. So having like a player like him where he's not scared to like be critical, and I think that's really good. And I think you need someone like that on a team where they can just say like, hey, we fucked up. Like we need to look at this. I think it's really important.
So is SACY like super involved in is he involved in like comp design or like in-game calls or mid-rounding or?
I'm actually not sure exactly what the structure is right now, but when we're looking at the previous season, then I think it was like Def, Dawn, Kaplan, Drew, and SACY all doing comps and stuff and like looking at stuff like that. So I'm pretty sure he was like definitely had a say.
Yeah, because I would imagine, you know, like a veteran presence like that having a lot to say about all of those things.
Yeah.
It's just, I didn't know, you know, like how comfortable he felt. His English is really fucking good, especially at this point. How's PANCADA's improved? Because I know initially it was like rocky, apparently. But now at this point, I've listened to him do interviews and it's significantly better.
Yeah.
Right?
I would say his English is pretty good. I think the only thing was he was kind of shy with his English. So even still, like sometimes he can be a little bit shy and kind of like convey his frustrations through SACY to convey to us. So that can happen sometimes, but it's getting better every day. Like he's improving a lot. And so he's gotten like a lot better. Like if you look from the start of the season to now, it's like a night and day difference for just like his confidence, but also just like the level of English he's at right now. So he was like, sometimes like I can't be critical of Tyson just because he's like a puppy. He's like he doesn't get mad. Like there's something wrong. You know, it's been pretty good. I actually think like role wise, John is actually just like everything that we wanted and more. Because like if you look at like the roles, right? So like me on Flex, Zach on Duelist, and then we have SACY, PANCADA, like Initiator and Smokes. I also think like the season, like we were kind of like plagued with role issues where like SACY was on fucking Smokes or PANCADA was on Killjoy, stuff like that. So it wasn't really like comfort roles ever. And so for the first time ever, when we're playing, like dude, John can play anything. So if we're playing a double controller comp, it's just like, okay, John can rip a controller and what's it called? And like Brian can go back to like just owning on Omen, stuff like that. I think it's like really, really good for player comfort and just like being confident with like the characters that you're playing and just like the role you're playing and making sure that like it stays it stays like consistent. Like when you're switching roles constantly or switching like play styles, it can kind of fuck you up. I mean, I kind of felt that playing Jet constantly, where on defense you're like kind of like an op turret, but then on attack you're the entry. It was kind of like really hard to just like go from one mode to the next and not like overheat.
Yeah, especially like how you guys were doing that too. Like, I don't think people understand what you mean necessarily. So like a Jet in like a double duelist split comp is so different than like a Jet in a double duelist like bind comp. So different than a Jet in like a single duelist comp in like one of the other maps, like say like Pearl or something previously. You know, like, and you were switching between like KO and those styles of Jet. So basically you're switching from like the actual entry to second in to potentially like lurking in extremity at times. To, you know, like those spacings are weird and that totally changes how you perceive the game. So I do think like that actually probably played a big factor in like a lot of your guys' like issues last year.
Mas e aí, qual a sua opinião sobre o que ele falou? Deixe aí nos comentários e vamos para a próxima notícia. O Valorant Mobile está cada vez mais próximo de ser lançado, e recentemente um perfil turco que está sempre postando atualizações sobre o jogo, fez uma postagem falando sobre 20 organizações que já demonstraram interesse em entrar no Valorant Mobile, após o lançamento do jogo, e aparecem bastante times conhecidos. Ele separou com asteriscos, colocou um asterisco para organizações que assim que o jogo chegar já estarão à procura de elenco, com 2 asteriscos organizações que são bem prováveis de entrar no cenário, e com 3 times que têm a sua entrada como possível, e podemos ver a Leviathan com 1 asterisco e Loud e NTZ com 2 asteriscos. E o dono da Leviathan respondeu a um usuário do Twitter que repostou a informação dizendo que a organização está 100% dentro. Quem também já falou sobre o jogo anteriormente foi o Bruno Playhard, dono da Loud, saca só.
Mas assim, velho, depois que eu vi isso daí, eu vi essa gameplay que eu não sei se é vazada, se é verdade, se é mentira, se é oficial, apareceu no meu Twitter, eu vi. Isso me agrada, isso me agrada. Tendo experiência em jogos mobile, pelo que eu pude ver, legal, viu? Legal, 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 legal. E assim, se tem um jogo hoje que tem uma brecha, se tem um mercado hoje que tem uma brecha grande no Brasil, é FPS mobile. FPS mobile, mano, não existe um FPS mobile competitivo com o grande público hoje no Brasil. Free Fire não é FPS, mano. Free Fire é Battle Royale, é diferente o jeito que você tem a visão dentro do jogo. Os mapas ali, mesmo tendo contra squad, não é igual um 5 contra 5 num mapa extremamente pensado para competitivo. Então assim, velho, COD Mobile, sim, mas COD Mobile nem compara o tamanho de mercado que pode chegar um Valorant Mobile. Mano, não vai chegar, não bate de frente, não bate de frente. Ah, mas tem jogos de FPS que tem torneios lá fora, que tem uma puta premiação mobile. No Brasil não tem, mano. Ninguém sabe o que é torneio de COD Mobile hoje no Brasil. Então assim, se chegar o Valorant e for realmente interessante assim, e o mais importante, rodar em dispositivos médios, dispositivo fraco eu já acho que não vai rodar, mano, porque o jogo é realmente pesado, tem muita textura, muito personagem, muita animação, muito efeito. Não sei se vai rodar em celular ali, é muito ruim, mas em celular médio, se rodar, eu acho que tem um potencial de estourar, mano, estourar. E escreve o que eu tô falando. Escreve o que eu tô falando. Se esse jogo estourar e começar a crescer muito, a Loud vai entrar, mano, vai entrar. Ah, não precisa de ter polêmica, não precisa de ter disse-me-disse. Lançou um jogo mobile no Brasil, principalmente de tiro, que o Brasil é o país do FPS, é o país do jogo de tiro. Se o jogo mobile estourar, ele vai estourar com muita força, mano. E aí a Loud vai entrar, e aí todo mundo vai entrar, e vai ser uma doideira, certo? Mas para isso tem que ter mercado endereçável, tem que ter gente, tem que ter usuário. E para ter usuário, o jogo tem que ser acessível. Então, e além disso, a desenvolvedora tem que saber trabalhar o jogo tanto no competitivo quanto dentro do servidor, que vai ter de atualização, de meta, de mudança, de frequência. Então, se isso tudo que eu falei acontecer, família, pode ter certeza que a Loud vai estar no Valorant Mobile e o jogo vai estourar e vai ser um fenômeno, tá ligado?
Mas e aí, qual é a sua opinião a respeito do Valorant Mobile? Acha que vai estourar? Tá no hype? Deixa aí nos comentários, aquele abraço, até o próximo vídeo.